And welcome or welcome back to the dumpster fire that is our podcast. I'm here to break the stigma against moms who smoke. This is Paige. If you're listening for the first time, I'm a 23-year-old single mom of two kids and a cat. I've always had a passion for creating when it comes to videography, crafts, basically everything in between. Um, I smoke recreationally and to help manage symptoms of borderline personality disorder. So, before I get started, make sure to follow us on Instagram at Moms Who Smoke Podcast, on Twitter at The Moms Who Smoke. I'm not very active on there. I apologize. Trying to get better at that. On Facebook, we are Moms Who Smoke, and our podcast is available on YouTube, Spotify, and Anchor. And after each episode, we release a survey on SurveyMonkey where you can anonymously leave your questions and comments. So, all right. So, first off, Carolyn is not going to be regularly joining me anymore. Like I said in the last couple episodes, she's very busy with her business and she just doesn't have the time in her schedule. But the exciting part about that is that means I'm going to have a lot of guests coming on, and I've connected with a lot of fellow moms in the community, and I'm really excited to have a few of them on. So definitely stay tuned for some more future episodes. I'm actually planning 4 different collabs right now, and I think that you guys are really going to enjoy each one of them for totally different reasons because they're all kind of different. So I'm super excited about that. Carolyn will also still be guest starring sometimes whenever she has time or feels that she really wants to talk about whatever I'm talking about that week. That's how she's going to play it. And whenever she has time. She's so busy now. So, this week I'm starting off with an exciting announcement. So, if you follow us on social media, you already know this, but we have officially released merch. And not only have we officially released merch, but I'm making the merch. Actually, my mom and I are making the merch, but I'm making the merch. And yeah, so if you're watching through YouTube, I'll pop some pictures onto the screen just because nothing's really accessible right now. So, we have teacups and saucers, we have mugs, we have stash jars, we have mini stash jars, and we're working on more. I'm planning on releasing a few things a month. Probably I'm going to slow down a little bit because I've gotten really excited and released a bunch of stuff now. So once that kind of settles and calms down a little bit, then I'm going to release some more. And if you guys have any suggestions for what kind of merch you'd like to see, I really like doing different merch that you wouldn't normally, see people sell. So leave your ideas for me. I definitely like to know, and I'm always up to try and create something new. So if you want something custom, that's totally okay too. Just send me a message and I'll figure it out. So if you want to know the details, it's all on our Facebook. It's on our Instagram as well, but Facebook's a little bit more accessible. So our regular size stash jars are $8 each or 2 for $15. And then our smaller size stash jars are $6 each or 2 for $10. And the teacups and saucers are $10 and the coffee mug is $6. And then I can also customize them however you want. So right now they say Mama Stash Jar. I can also put your name. I'll pop one up here that I made for somebody. I can also put a household name. I'll pop that one up here. On the smaller stash jars, there's a few different options. One of them says plant-based with a pot leaf in the middle. The other one is our logo. I can also put your name and your stash jar, whatever you'd really like. So yeah, that's really exciting this week. I've been working nonstop. I've stayed up a few nights till like 1 o'clock in the morning working on this stuff, and I'm just so excited. And I don't know, it's keeping me busy, and all of you are loving, I don't know, what you've got so far, like what you've bought and the stuff that I'm posting. I'm getting such positive feedback, and I'm just so glad that you guys like the stuff, because originally I just made it for myself to have like a cool stash jar, and then I started realizing that I could make a lot of different things that looked really cool, and the Canna Fairy local page actually inspired me to make some for moms around the local community, so I've done that, and yeah, so super excited about that. Anyways, so I sat back this week and I was trying to figure out what to talk about because I was drawing a blank. There's a lot of episodes that I want to do, but like I said, I have a lot of collabs coming up in the future that that I feel would better suit those topics, and I don't want to make an episode on that now and then it kind of be a reiteration later. When I do the collabs, I want that to be the first time we kind of talk about it, I guess. Anyways, sorry, rambling again. But I couldn't really think of what you guys would be interested in or what people can relate to. And I clearly try to stick with topics that focus on being a parent, smoking pot, generally because it's called Moms Who Smoke podcast. So I was thinking it's time to tell my teen mom story. I'm not going to tell the full story. And if you guys would be interested in that, definitely let me know. I would love to do an episode on it. Um, it's just a very long story, and I don't know if everybody's really interested in like how my parents reacted or how it felt to be 9 months pregnant at my grad. And I don't know if that's interesting to you guys. So instead, I decided that I would do 5 things that I would want you to know as a former teen mom. So these are just, they're both serious and kind of, I don't know, bringing up funny stories from me raising kids, but also not so funny because, I mean, you guys will see. Um, but they're just things that, like, I'd like to make clear that aren't true about teen moms. So that's what we're going to do today. So, actually, you guys have some wine. My mom made me this wine glass. So we're going to pour a glass of wine first because honestly, some of these stories stress me out a little bit, but it's fine. So, I spilt that on myself because I was trying to be fancy. Typical. Well, I might as well pour the whole bottle. All right. So, 5 things I want you to know from a former teen mom. If you guys don't know, I said in the beginning, I'm 23 years old. I have a 4-year-old and a 5-year-old. He's actually almost 6. They're 15 months apart. I had my son when I was 17, and I had my daughter when I was 18. So, first thing is, just because we're young does not mean we are less capable or less of a parent or should be ashamed. So, it took me a long time to realize this. And if you don't already know, spoiler alert, no parent has their shit completely together or knows exactly what they're doing. Yes, with time comes experience, but a first time 16-year-old mom has no more experience as a mother than a first time 33-year-old mom. You still learn all of those things, the same things, and you go through the same experience. And having a baby, it's your lifestyle might be different, but it's not physically different. Like, you still become a mother and are doing the same things. Um, Not only that, but every child is different, and what works for one parent may not work for the next. So you can have a Karen telling you that her kid gets up at 5:30 and that's fine, and goes to bed at 6 p.m. and that's what works for them. Well, if my kid got up at 5:30, I wouldn't be functioning every day. We get up at like 8:30, and then we go to bed at like 8:30, and that works for us. It's not always about one one size fits all or one way is right for everybody. I got pregnant for the first time at almost 17 and the second time at 18, like I said. And I remember being told that I had no idea what I was doing, that my parents would end up raising my kids, that my kids would essentially end up degenerates because of my age. Would they have said that to a 24-year-old mom, 32-year-old mom? Probably not. Would I have benefited from more positive comments? Absolutely. Um, but the stigma surrounding young moms is disgusting. And it's been there, and it's not there for a reason, but because getting pregnant in high school or as a teen or child is looked down upon because you're not an adult yet, does not mean that you doesn't mean that you should continue to judge them. Like, once someone is pregnant and gone through with that decision, that's that. The stigma should not surround that. They understand the implications of getting pregnant young and have made this decision that they're going to do this. They don't need negative opinions surrounding them and continually being said to them. It was hard to deal with as a young mom because then you almost constantly question yourself that if you are doing the right things because you are young. And like I said at the start, it took me a long time to realize that there is not one right way, and I'm the best mom for my kids, just like somebody else is the best mom for their kid. So, age does not matter. And just because you're a 40-year-old mom doesn't mean that you're any better than a 15-year-old mom. You might have more life experience, but it's not much different. 2, I put number I wish I could show you guys my Trello board. I made a nice list of 5 things, and each one says number 1. It's very put together as usual. So the second one is we're not lucky if the father sticks around or helps a little, and we're not worse off if they don't. So for years, I was told that I was lucky that that my kid's dad had stuck around given his age, and I was lucky that he babysat or helped at all. That's a complete double standard, and there's nothing that makes me more upset than that. I was actually talking to my friend about that the other night. It takes 2 people to make a child. You are both that child's parent. You are both equally responsible for raising that child and bringing them up to be a good person. We shouldn't be patting dads on the back for staying or helping. And we're not told you're so great because you're taking care of your kid's basic needs. Someone should not be praised for helping raise their child. And guess what? About 38% of marriages end in divorce. So there's so many families where the dad is absent or the mom's absent. And it's not a bad thing to be a single parent either. What matters is being happy and loving and stable for your kids. And no marriage, relationship, job, anything should ever come above you or your children. Point blank, period. Um, Number 3, no boomer. We don't want your advice. I apologize to everybody that this offends because I understand that the entire generation of baby boomers is not bad. I fully cognitively understand and accept that. But some of you, man, like you just gotta just turn it down just a little bit, Karen. Because the only way that I can accurately paint a picture of this for you is to tell you a story. So when I was 8 months pregnant with my daughter, my son was about 14 months old. I had him in a stroller sitting in front of me, and his dad was with me, and we just gone on to a city bus. There was this older lady. I am not good at guessing ages. I would say older than 50, but not like in a wheelchair or like not able to walk or like I don't know. She was still healthy and able. Anyways, um, she just kept staring and looking at us. And a few stops later, this woman has the audacity to come over and say, "Is is he both of their dads?" And I was dumbfounded, but like my witty, sarcastic ass immediately responded, "I don't know, they're not mine." And I don't think that she expected an 8-month pregnant woman to say that to her, but that you just don't say things like that to people. And I really don't think that she would have asked that question if I was older. And if he's sitting right next to me playing with a baby that's in the stroller in front of me and I'm super pregnant, like, what does it matter? It's none of your goddamn business. Like, if he's just a friend or if he's both of their dad or if I just met him, like, it's none of your business. We don't need your unwanted opinions and questions. That's all I'm saying. If they're positive, absolutely. Or if like you genuinely like want to ask a question about my kid or like what their name is, like just be friendly, okay. But like I don't need your negativity. Um, in another instance, Brooklyn's hair had just, and I mean just, grown long enough to put in a ponytail. And this was the first time I had ever taken one of those little tiny elastic bands and wrapped it on her head. I'll see if I can find a picture of her to pop up here. But it was the tiniest ponytail. Like, it's moms of girls that have very little hair, you should understand when they finally have just enough to put in a tiny ponytail. So you celebrate and put it in a ponytail. Well, we were walking through Walmart and like I had her sitting in the cart and we were chatting and it was in the dairy so we were down the frozen section towards the dairy and there's like cheese on I vividly remember it right like at the back of Walmart. Most Walmarts are the same, you know what I'm talking about. Um and this lady comes up and she's like, "You really shouldn't have a ponytail in your daughter's hair." And I was like, "Well, she's fine. Like it's her first ponytail. Like we're just excited that her hair is finally long enough, you know, she's okay." And she goes, "That's going to make her go bald." And again, I said, she's my daughter. She's okay. It's just a little ponytail in her hair. It's not hurting her. And this lady continued to make comments. And I said politely, like, "Please, just, like, I don't need your opinion. It's my daughter. Her ponytail is fine." And I started walking away. Well, as the woman walked away, she turned around and made some kind of comment. I forget exactly what she said, but it was something about the ponytail or like, um, remember me when she goes bald kind of thing. And I turned around and I said, she came out of my vagina, not yours. Maybe there's the difference in younger parents or teenage parents. We're not afraid to speak our opinion because we understand that you need to give respect in order to get it. And maybe that was a little bit crossing a line. But for someone to repeatedly come up to me and make comment after comment when I'm politely asking them to stop and saying, my kid's fine and try to walk away, and they make a comment like that, I have no patience and I'm going to tell them off. And I don't think that if I was young, and very clearly young, I still look young. I'm 23 and I still get ID'd, which I'm sure most girls my age do. I'm not like complaining, but I look young and I'm aware of that. And I looked really, really young up until about a year and a half ago. And I don't have a problem with people giving their opinion or advice. People who are my family, my close friends, or ones whose opinions I want or at least can tolerate. Um, it really, for a complete stranger to make comments such as those is just completely appalling. Like, I I fully believe that they would not have been made if I was 5 years older or didn't look so young. And I've, no stranger on the bus, old lady in the store, guy on the street. Like, we don't want your advice or your negative comments. We've got our kids covered. You worry about you. We're okay. I fully endorse telling people they're doing a good job. And when I see a mom with a screaming kid in the store, I make sure to go up to her and say, "You're doing a fucking good job. Like, you got this. You got this." Or, like, if you, I don't know, compliment parents more. Parents of all ages. I'm not just saying young parents. Don't give unwanted negative opinions. Spread a little positivity, because maybe if that's parents breaking down a little bit because their kids screaming on the floor, if you come up and say, like, "You got this. You're doing good," that is going to totally knock them back and be like, fuck yeah, I do have this and I am okay. And it's going to knock almost the embarrassment or whatever, or I don't know, it's positive. It's not negative. Just got to be positive. That's all I'm saying. It's a constant battle. And I think that that was a lot of the last 5 years of my life has been just kind of battling and fighting for the fact that I am just as good as a mom that is in her 20s or 30s or 40s, and that I've got things covered just as much as they do. Just because my lifestyle is different doesn't mean that I'm not a good mom or that I don't take care of my children or have their best interest in mind. Okay, four, which also says number one. I didn't miss out because I'm a young mom. Yes, my lifestyle changed. I became very responsible and self sufficient at a younger age than most. I also started working full time at 15 years old and left high school and did homeschooling because I was so severely bullied. So I worked full time from a very young age. And that was about 2 years before I got pregnant with Dawson. So I was already living, I already knew how to budget. I already had an income. I knew how to grocery shop, and like, I had some of this life experience that most high schoolers wouldn't have because of the road I went, but that doesn't mean that I wasn't still young and a teen. Um Anyways, so I chose that lifestyle. I chose to have them I chose to have them, and every day I choose to put them first. It doesn't mean that I don't have a personal life or friends. It doesn't mean I don't go out or do things for myself. It just means that I'm living a different life than people my age, and I didn't miss out on anything because I was never one to go out and party every weekend. That's never been who I am. I enjoy my breaks when I have them, but I cannot go, go, go every day. The mom lifestyle suits me well, and that's always what I wanted throughout my life. And I feel thankful that I had my kids young and I kind of get to grow up with them and enjoy being young with them and exploring with them. And no, I don't get to live the typical 23-year-old life, but what's wrong with that? Like, I have more fun living the life that I do than I would, I don't know, living as a single person, I think. Like, I'm so forever thankful that I became a mom young. And I'm not endorsing it. I'm not saying you should get pregnant young, but in my circumstance, like I couldn't be happier for where my life's at right now. And then this one was brought on by my mother. I'm going to be honest. I got a little, when like you're talking to somebody and what they say doesn't necessarily upset you, but it just kind of rubs you the wrong way. Well, my mom said something like that. She compared um, having me at 24 to me having Dawson at 17. And she did it in the nicest way, in the way of like, I graduated and I had been working in this and that. So I do understand her side of it. But just because I graduated literally 2 weeks before I pushed Dawson out doesn't mean I wasn't a teen mom. This one drives me the craziest, like I said, because my mom made a comment, but also because I fought that teen mom stereotype up until both my kids were school age. So really September. Um, I didn't have to juggle high school and having a baby, but I did have to go through walking through every public place and watching heads turn, feeling guilty and out of place when I was in the baby section trying to prepare and buy things because I needed to. And I postponed a lot of the shopping for that stuff until right before. And I didn't want to go in that section unless I was super, super pregnant because I felt very, very judged. And I shouldn't have because I was pregnant and I had accepted that. And that's where my life was going. And I shouldn't have felt wrong for being in a certain section because of that. Um, and I walked up to receive my high school diploma 9 months pregnant. Now I'm going to say that every single person in that room clapped for me and cheered, and I swear it was louder than when every other person came out, and I felt so accomplished and good about that. But I still walked up 9 months pregnant, and I forever want to burn my grad picture because of how I looked in it. I didn't have the typical grad. I still missed out on high school things. But like I said, I don't feel like I missed out because those weren't things that were necessarily important to me. I really did want my own family and I wanted to start my own life and move on from the crap that I had gone through. I also had always repeatedly, and like even still now, people ask me if their dad has stuck around. Well, no, he hasn't now. But why is that a question? And it's not the people that are like genuinely curious, like, oh, are you married? Are you with somebody? Or just, you can tell a difference between curiosity and somebody trying to be like prying. And I don't think that that's a question that really needs to be asked. Like, it's pretty obvious, and I'm pretty open about the fact that I'm a single mom of two kids, and a stranger doesn't need to come up and ask me that. Um, being belittled and called every name in the book by other people my age because teenagers are fucking mean. I wasn't the only person who got pregnant young. Of my graduating class, there was a girl who got pregnant in grade 9. And I think that kind of took a lot of the shock of somebody being a teen parent. And there were a few people in my age group that were also pregnant. But that being said, people were still so mean and made the nastiest comments. And someone threatened to fight me when I was 8 months pregnant. After I had Dawson, I got so many messages and like nasty ones. And like one person said, he doesn't even look like his dad. You should go get a test. And it was just being pregnant in high school means that you are pregnant, but with all the drama. And like being a pregnant teenager, I think not being a pregnant teen had more of an once I had my kids, no matter what people said, the negativity didn't bother me because I know I'm a good mom and I know I've got my stuff handled. But while I was pregnant before I had Dawson, all of that negativity ate at me. And it was really, really hard. And I didn't want to go out anywhere. And I couldn't even go to a concert that was in our hometown because my mom was worried that somebody would like intentionally elbow me or hurt me because the bullying was that bad. And there was just a lot of things that I dealt with because I was still the age of all of these people, and I myself too who were so immature and couldn't act like adults. So I think that having a kid young kind of pushed me forward in the way of maturity wise. And I've always been like been told I'm an old soul, and I was the oldest grandchild and the oldest child for 6 years. So I always hung out with the adults, and like I've always liked hanging out with the adults. And as I became an adult, like I think I was more mature than most people my age, both because of my circumstances and what I had gone through, and because I got pregnant so young. And it just caused a lot of issues and drama while I was pregnant. So I think that I still very much experienced being a teen mom and being a pregnant teen. I shouldn't put quotations. I've still very much experienced being a teen mom and a pregnant teen and the backlash that comes along with that. And it's not pretty. It's a lot to handle a lot of times, and not necessarily the easiest to combat at that age. I think that there are both positives and negatives to having kids young. Same with there are both positives and negatives to having kids when you're 30 or 40. And there's no right time. And I believe everything happens for a reason. And I believe my life happened the way it did for a reason. And while I do not condone condone going out and getting pregnant as a teenager, there is no part of me that will ever regret it. And I'm very thankful for the path that I chose and the path that I'm on. So, yeah, those are 5 things that I want you to know as a former teen mom, because I feel like these are just things that should be common sense, but maybe they need to be said again. And like, that's what the podcast is for. That's what I'm here for. I'll take some wine now. All right. So, I have 9 Facebook notifications. That is absurd. Cute. I love when people interact. Aw, okay. So I hope you guys know that like I'm constantly checking the Facebook page, and I have the notifications on my phone. So whenever you comment, especially on the podcast Facebook page or the podcast Instagram, I'm right on top of that and responding and reading all the messages, and I love it. Like it makes my whole day. Thank you guys so much for supporting so much. And thank you guys who have bought merch for supporting so much, because it blows me away the amount of interest that there's been. And you guys are so creative, and I love all your ideas, and I love how many people I'm connecting with. Like I've said previously, if any of you who are listening would like to be featured on the podcast and come and have a conversation with me, I would absolutely love to have you. It's, I don't know, we're moms who smoke. So, I mean, even if you don't smoke and you have an opinion, or you're just a mom and you have an opinion, or you're not a mom and you just smoke and you have an opinion, like I would love to have you and hear more about, what you've been going through, what you've gone through, what you're trying to go through. Anyways, sorry that there's no banter. I feel like this episode has been slightly more engaging than the last 2, so maybe we'll get a little better. Thanks for keeping up with me, you know. So we're gonna do the weekly check-in because, oops, this episode is late. Sorry that I didn't address that till now, but unlike the last like month and a half, I did not record the episode early. My plan was to record it last night and then edit and upload this morning. And unfortunately, my internet went out last night. I fully took that as a sign from the universe, because I was exhausted last night. And if I'm being honest, I was like, oh my goodness, I so badly want to postpone the podcast. But I'm very much a type of person that unless something is actually physically coming in the way of something, I don't want to postpone or cancel. Like I'd like to just get things done on time and not be late to things. It really bothers me. But the internet went down for like 3 hours last night, and I was unable to record because I record using an internet program, and then I also edit and need files off of the internet in order to edit. It's all fancy stuff. But yes, this episode is late. I apologize for that. There's been a lot going on. Like I said, I've kind of worn myself out doing all the merch, but it's so good. I'm enjoying it so much. And between, I don't know, keeping kids alive and, you know, being a teacher and a chef and a maid and now making all this merch and trying to record and talking to all of you guys, and then like everything else that's going on in my life. It's just been really busy, but I couldn't be more thankful for how busy it has been. And I feel like I kind of had a rough couple weeks mental health wise, and I was trying so hard and just trying to keep positive and not feed into the spiral of depression. I know some of you guys understand that. Um, and I kind of fought through it, and I'm feeling a lot better. And I feel like I'm getting a lot of signs in my life that I'm doing the right thing, and I'm really thankful for that. So, yeah, this has been our ninth episode. That's crazy that it's already been 9 episodes. That blows me away. But we do have a lot of exciting things coming. We might have a true crime episode coming. We might have some fancy new smoking pictures coming. We might have some candles coming. Oh my goodness, there's so much stuff going on, you guys, and I'm so excited to share it with you. Yeah, so this has been my dumpster fire. I hope that you guys enjoyed helping me break the stigma against teen moms, and we will see you in next week's episode. Bye, guys.